Good morning. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom, where law and culture meet. On the board today is Mike, but before we get to Mike, we're going to be talking about... Oh, Mike, another sound drop-in. Oh, I like it. It's 10 o'clock. It's not that early.
Well, yeah. What if we're like in Kansas or something, you know?
I think it's actually later there.
Do they have radio stations in Kansas? They do,
I'm
right?
sure. Yeah, and they also have roosters there
How
as
are
well.
you and I are rocking the polos this morning.
You know what? For some reason, we must be simpatico in sync because last week we're both wearing T-shirts, which never happens. This week we're both wearing collared shirts in terms of the polos, and then I think like 3 weeks ago we were in the button-downs. It was fantastic.
I know. I mean, but it's just so hot out there. I mean, here we are in October, and it's triple digits, and...
Anyway, we got some synergy going.
Yeah, we're trying. Yeah,
before we start talking about public figures and the legal definition of things like defamation and libel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well.
How was your week?
My week was really, really good. It started out cool, and then it got hot, and so my life revolves around the weather, of course.
We should hang out more often.
We should.
I mean, maybe I don't know what would we do though. That's probably why we don't hang out.
I don't know. We
have no definitive plan.
We'd have to put on headsets and just kind of talk to each other through fake microphones.
Maybe like Montage or...
I don't even know what that is. But how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well, sir. Hot button topic today.
Yes, we're going to be talking about...
And on Sunday mornings, you get your hot button topics, sir.
Yeah, well, I got a good story about a hot button topic. So anyways, before we completely start talking about nothing, let's talk about online. There's this app now that's called People, right? And it's spelled Peeple, which is a misspelling of the word purposefully people. And it allows people to have online reviews of you, much like that you would review Yelp for a business. You would review your friend and say, well, I would rate this person from 1 to 5 stars or whatever. And all you need to do is have their cell phone number, and you can create a profile for another person. So this isn't a situation where, okay, I'm going on Facebook or I'm creating Twitter for myself, and then other people are commenting on things that I'm doing. I can actually go, all right, so my friend Mike, I have your cell phone number, which I'm about to give out live on the air for anyone that wants to call Mike on his personal cell phone. Oh, look, you are paying attention. Okay. And,
I'm looking the app up here.
Right. And but you can create an app for them. Now, this is fraught with peril. So, I mean, think about this. Think about every phase of your life. So think about when you were in high school, that there are other high school people who would create a ranking for you. So, like, let's say that I'm not in the cool clique, or which I wasn't, but if let's say that I was, I was on the chess team. Did you know that, Mike?
Were you really?
I was amazing at it.
Checkmate.
Correct. So anyway, I was on the chess team, and this whole other group of people, they, let's say they didn't like me, and I wanted to rate them, right? I could do this on this People app. Now, fast forward to college, right? No longer on the chess team, but sitting at home by myself in the dorm room watching TV. And I wanted to rank the other people, right? Then in like the Greek system or something. Of course, I'm joking, but just think about every step of the way, and then think about your first job, and then think about, every step of the way, you've got all these situations where people can rate you that can actually hurt your future. So, because now employees, they look at Facebook, they look at Twitter. What happens if you're in college and you're a late bloomer and you're a little immature, and then all of your friends are ranking you jokingly poorly or whatever, and then that digital imprint stays with you forever. And so what we're going to talk about a little bit about is basically libel. Okay, so libel is and defamation, but libel is when someone says something about someone that's untrue and it's legally actionable. Okay. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say Sean Penn is suing someone right now for $10 million because they said something about him that he disagreed with that's not true, right? Well, Sean Penn is a public figure, so let's start there. There are special rules that apply, exemptions if you were a public figure, okay?
Yeah.
And so if you're a public figure, there's a law, basically an old law or a case from the New York Times versus Sullivan, which is a Supreme Court case that says if a plaintiff in a libel or slander action qualifies as a public figure, he or she must show that the libelous or slanderous conduct of the defendant was motivated out of actual malice as required in the case. This was in New York Times, right?
Right.
And we'll talk about what that means in a second. But here's what an interesting debate topic for us today is. Okay. there would be an argument that you and I would be public figures because we have a radio show, right? They actually let us do that and talk, and so we're putting ourselves out there in the public eye on purpose. And so if people, because I'm so famous, we're huge in Belize. If people wanted to say something about me because of my quote status as a public figure, which is extremely arguable and not a slam dunk, but let's say that it was, then there's a little bit more give and leeway as to what people can say about me.
Right.
Now, what about people that don't have a radio show, but if you put yourself out there on social media, let's say that you have an Instagram account and a Twitter account and a Facebook account and whatever else the kids are doing today, right? I don't know. I'm sure there's apps out there where you're constantly in the social media space.
There's like a double standard.
Well, yeah, there is a double standard in the law, but what I'm trying to say is if you're if you put yourself in the media space that way, that much with, Facebook, I mean, people are taking pictures of the food that they eat in Facebook
I'm guilty of that.
every day.
I'm
I've done it.
Yes.
Like I think I did it once. I was like, oh, I think I had a
once.
glass of,
Really? How many? How many times?
Maybe one or two times. I had a glass of wine in me or something. I was like, oh, I feel like the whole world should know how fabulous this plate I'm about to eat is, right? And so, but the debate then becomes, can I make myself a public figure without having a radio show, but by having, like I said, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, where literally a blog where every part of my life, Vines, where I put videos of myself out there. And so can I make myself a public figure without really doing anything of any merit per se, but just having such a strong social presence that I give up my right to privacy and I give up my protections under the libel law. So we're going to talk about that a little bit when we come back.
And that being said, public figures do have privacy rights as well.
Of course they do.
Big ones.
Yes, but
you've got stalkers out there and people that are,
Yes, but for libel, the standard change is where you have to prove that someone actually basically did it on purpose instead of it's actual malice. And when we come back from the break, we'll unpack that a little bit. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom. Welcome back. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom. We're talking about public figures, libel, and defamation. It sounds like, oh, that's boring, but in fact, it can be super exciting. I feel like
Say that again.
Oh, but in fact, it can be super exciting. Mike, did you have some cough syrup or something before you came in today? You're kind of going crazy with the drop-ins. I like it, but all right. So, Mike and I were talking off the air, and you had a really good question. It says, well, what is a public figure, right? Well, generally, in the law of defamation, which is libel and slander, which gets all complicated, but we're not going to go there, is a personage of great public interest or familiarity, like a government official, politician, celebrity, business leader, movie star, or sports hero. So basically, but that's an old definition, basically, that sort of predates social media. So for instance, you have these YouTube celebrities, right, that have millions of followers, but they haven't really done anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just talk about, I guess you could say that they're an entertainment figure at that point.
Right.
But it's not as if, they haven't written a song, or, I mean, they just kind of they do funny, jokes on YouTube. So anyway, So the argument then becomes, well, then aren't we all slowly becoming public figures though? Because for some of us choose to put our entire lives online.
Well, yeah,
right.
This is true.
And the thing is, like, there's in this whole thing about, and we'll get into the specifics of the libel, but and defamation and all that in a second. But
that could be also maybe a public figure, somebody who makes money by being a public figure too.
Well, yeah, like the Kardashians,
it's their
who are just
job,
famous for being famous, right? So,
Right.
but they would definitely count as a public figure, okay?
But
Because I know what you're saying.
I digress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think you and I are just lamenting what it takes to be a public figure anymore, which is apparently
We're
just
there.
being good at marketing.
Yeah.
And that's the larger point of what I want to talk about. It's like, look, it's like our and I've talked about this before, that our economy has gotten so sophisticated, and that every single want that we have, we can get in like 2 minutes. Like, if you and I have a conversation about the 1974 Broncos, and there's like the third string player on there, and I was like, oh, I bet you I can get that guy's football card. I can go on eBay, and I can have it overnighted to me, and I can have it tomorrow, and I can have it on the way in 5 minutes. Okay, and I think what has happened is that, coupled, our very sophisticated economy, coupled with social media, which gives a voice to anyone who wants one, right? And then there's this that everyone's on Facebook, so everybody else comes on Facebook. What happens is that we have a kind of a culture now, a generation now, of people who think that every single thing that they do merits public knowledge, meaning every thought they have, everything that they do and like I said, we joke around it. We've done it too, but not incessantly.
No.
Like it's not like there are people that I know that are on my feed, my Facebook feed, right? That I know what they have for dinner every day of the month. Okay. Now I'm not begrudging them that, right? But on sort of a societal scale, it used to be is that people used to understand that not every single thought that came into my head or your head needed to be voiced, right?
Yeah, right.
Because we're not all perfect all the time. And I was laughing. I was telling you the story off air. So what has happened is that we have this culture, I think, of people that feel entitled to be able to do and say whatever they want. I'm not talking like politically like entitlements or anything like that. I'm talking about just that people think that it's been the world has started to revolve around each of us individually because of our access to all the social media and all of that. We don't have to actually interact with anyone. We can just be safe and interact online, right? And there's an anecdotal story which is funny. So there's a store by my house called Party City, right? It's great, actually. It's got anything that you want with regard to a party. It's in there. It doesn't have a lot of stuff to do with the city.
Pinatas?
It's got whatever you want in there. I guarantee Party City has got you covered, and if they don't have it in there, they'll order it for you. But
I've actually shopped there, so yeah.
Yeah, so I go by there because I go get my coffee at Pete's Coffee every morning, which is delicious. This is we don't get paid by Pete's.
That's right. Anyway, that's it. That's done by
McBean and
right. That's a nice little center there.
Yeah, it's good. Sure. So I walk over there to get my coffee, and every morning I walk by there. And the thing about Party City is that they have kind of unusual opening hours for a business. So Monday through Friday they open at 9:30, right? Saturdays they open at 8:30, and Sundays they don't open until 10. Okay, and the reason why this is weird is because they start later than almost everybody. Like 9:30 on a Monday is a very late start for a business.
Right.
So, but every day I walk by there, and there's always, not every day, but I would say 3 times a week, there's always someone sitting there, and with this look on their face, like at like 9:15, right? They're like, I cannot believe that this store is not open, and they're sitting there, and I can feel the tension coming off these people, and this is a constant thing that happens over and over again that I've experienced. It happened this morning where these guys were sitting out in front of, because I was getting my coffee before I came over to do the show, and they were sitting out in front of Party City, and they were on the phone, and they were like, hey, we have to wait here because the store's not going to open for another 15 minutes, right? And that idea that automatic reaction of being disgruntled, that automatic reaction of I can't believe that my needs aren't being met, is as a result of how sophisticated our economy is with the internet.
I'm thinking Sundays it's the football crowd.
Probably, yeah.
It's the parties at home, and they want to get going. They got to get going.
Absolutely. Yeah. But the thing is like, look, and so what happens when we start talking about this online, posting things online, is that people think what they have to say is so important, right? And hey, look, if you have something, I have a radio show, and it's like, okay, kettle,
freedom of speech, brother.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But the point is that I also realize, though, that not every single thought that comes out of my brain is a smart one. Just ask my wife. All right? She'll tell you. She'll be like, I probably bat like 15%.
What's that shirt I saw? I don't need Google. My wife knows everything.
No, I'm not. Hey, listen, Mike, my wife listens to the show, so let's dial that back, okay? Your wife is sitting in the lobby out there. Let's not get ourselves in trouble, okay? Right. Yes, we both want to stay happily married. So let's talk a little bit about that. We live in a culture now where everyone has access to basically a giant megaphone. Everyone has access to anything that they want through the sophisticated marketplace. And when we come back,
hold that thought.
We're going to talk about that, how that impacts us in the legal market. So you're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back. You're listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom. So we're going to tie it all together here in this last segment, talking about sort of everyone's online presence, the idea that people can say whatever they think they want to say, but they may run afoul of what's the defamation laws. So let's just bring it back here a little bit about the law. And so defamation is a term that describes statements that harm another person's reputation, all right? And so, and it's divided into two sections: spoken statements, which are called slander, right? And written statements, which are libel. All right. So not only can you get into trouble by saying something in the marketplace verbally, you can also, obviously, if you publish something. So most of what we're talking about is libel, okay? Because people are like writing stuff online and they're saying the things that will hurt your reputation. Now, if you're a public figure, you have to show that actually that it was on purpose, meaning that it was malicious. But if you're a private person, you're more protected, okay? So let's assume for a second that like normal people aren't that aren't public figures, even if they have everything online and we know what they eat every single night.
Right.
You can actually get in trouble. I'm not going to say easily, but you can actually, if you say something that's false, effectively, you can get in trouble. So the elements of defamation, generally, it's different in every state. Is that there was a statement that was made, it was published, the statement could cause injury, and the statement was false. So truth is always
Right.
a defense. So if you're like, hey, Mary is a mean girl, and that's true.
If it's a factual.
Correct, right. Yeah. And then also too is that it has to be a non-privileged. It came up in a non-privileged context, which means it's not like in a trial or deposition or whatever. So anyway, so in where we're dealing with right now with all these things like this app, which is this People app, is that people can get angry with each other, and in life. We're a collection of moments, we're not, no one just goes through life and does everything perfectly, except for obviously our wives, marrying us, whereas number one was great. But no, but we go through life and, it's a collection of moments, and sometimes we do a good job and sometimes we do a not so good job. But
Right.
it's the hopefully on the ledger, it's more on the positive side than it is on the negative side.
Right.
The problem with digital media is that if you have a negative moment, and even though 85% of your life could be great, but let's say that you get in trouble, you go to a wedding and cause a ruckus or something like that, that's on there forever. And so back in the day, before there was this digital universe, that stuff would fade into memory, and then it would just be kind of maybe a joke in the family, or it would just be kind of a bad memory.
Right.
The problem with digital media is there may be a video there of that online forever. And so, video evidence, it makes it fresh every time you see it, whereas your memory isn't as good, and actually your mind kind of makes things less painful as time goes on. That's why women can have more than one child, I think, right? Because if they truly remember the pain of childbirth the first time, that's less likely to have another one, right?
Exactly.
But your mind as your memory fades, sometimes will make things more pleasant or less painful, which is basically both. And so, but with the digital world, we don't have that luxury. And especially, I think that I have friends who they have new babies and new kids, and you literally get to grow up with those kids. Like, it's great. Like,
Sure.
But I wonder how I would feel. Like, people have actually posted pictures of me as a kid online, and it kind of annoys me when that happens. And I'm an adult.
That's happened to me as well. I've got some friends from as far back as elementary school, and they posted class pictures, and part of it was like, hey, it's like it's cool that they're still around.
Right.
The other part is, my picture's up there now, and
well, yeah, and
yeah.
they didn't ask your consent to do that, and so and I think that,
and this happens all the time. It's not just a childhood photo. It's in general.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think this is the biggest thing that we have to struggle with now, is that this is the digital world is so new compared to, human beings. We went along for, thousands of years just doing things one way, and then all of a sudden
Don't take photos of my food.
Right. I get annoyed when people put photos of my food online without my consent, right? No, but I think the thing is that we're going to be struggling with, and I think it's going to be really interesting, 30 years from now, when all these kids that are online right now, some of them want to go run for office, or some of them want to, become elected like vice president of some corporation. Their entire life is going to be
Let
on
the
there.
online record reflect.
Yes, exactly. And I wonder how that's going to shake out. And there's a saying that the first person through the wall always gets bloodied, and that's because you're always going to be stepping on some landmines. You're always going to be getting in trouble when you do something because you don't know quite the best way to do it. And so we have a whole generation right now of kids and just becoming young adults now. Facebook's been around for 10, 20, 15 years, right? 15 years, something like that.
It's about, yeah.
And so, if you started when you were a kid, there's some kids coming out of high school right now that literally have been online their whole life, going into college, and soon they'll be in the workforce. And so, I think that as a culture, we're in a really interesting place going forward. And I just hope that we get more into people having the right to consent and what's online and what's not.
Right. I want to mention real quick as well before we leave, because we're almost out of time. We talked about the Volkswagen thing a couple weeks ago. I met a couple yesterday at work that were from Bavaria. Both are employees of BMW. And they, too, in Bavaria, Germany, are very upset about this Volkswagen thing, too.
I can't believe you waited till the last 10 seconds of the show.
You're talking about how we forget things. I think that...
I already forgot about the Volkswagen.
Did you really?
Yeah.
See? See what I'm saying?
Well, I appreciate it. Well, listen, an interesting topic today. Thank you, Mike, so much for coming in today and doing a great job as always. You've been listening to your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I am attorney Wade Skalsky, and this is Wade Beyond the Courtroom.